Am I wrong for snapping at my aunt who said I wasn't a real doctor? I, 35 female, am a plastic surgeon. I went through years of medical school and residency, but it was worth it. I originally started med school with the hopes of going into psychiatry, but surgery really interested me. The problem started years ago when I first told my family that I was going into plastic surgery because it was what interested me the most. My parents, siblings, and brother-in-law were all supportive, and whenever I felt like giving up, they were always there to push me. My aunts always made snide comments about him, as well as my cousins, uncles, and grandparents on both sides. They were all happy when they knew I was in med school, but completely flipped when they found out I was pursuing plastic surgery. It annoyed me at first, but I learned to just move on from it. But recently, my cousin, 40 female on my dad's side, who's the daughter of the aunt who keeps making comments about my job, had done a PLC on nursing and childcare, which didn't bother me and I couldn't care less what she does. But my aunt thought I should know everything that's happening with her daughter. Every time I see her, she goes on about how smart her daughter is and how amazing she is for doing a PLC in nursing and childcare. But the last time I seen her, she said something that really annoyed me. Me and my sister were over at her house because she had some hand-me-downs to give my nephew. We were all eating when she said, "It's great that she's going into medical school." She's not. She doesn't even have the brains for medical school. Maybe we can finally have a real doctor in the family. I sat there in silence for a second thinking, what the is she talking about? And then looked at my sister, who looked equally as pissed off as me. I snapped back and said, her changing kids' soiled pants doesn't make her a doctor, and her knowing how to clean a cut doesn't either. She's not in medical school. She's too dumb for that. She wouldn't even last a week before dropping out. My aunt looked really pissed off and yelled at me for being rude, and then she told me that I wasn't much of a doctor either. I yelled back at her that I went through years of medical school and residency, and that I'm now a licensed doctor and surgeon, and that she doesn't know what she's talking about. My aunt started crying and left the room, so me and my sister just left. A few hours later, I got a text from my cousin calling me a bitch for what I said and attacking her mom. I got more texts from other family members, and it somehow traveled to my mom's side of the family as well. Majority of them are telling me to apologize for yelling at my aunt, but my immediate family, my mom, dad, brother, sister, and in-laws, are all telling me not to. Now I'm being shunned by both sides of the family, and they're all refusing to talk to me and won't even let me tell my side of the story. So, was I the asshole?
I think I woke up to a gray alien in my room last night. I've been up since 5 a.m. and I just can't get this off my mind. So last night I'm sleeping and I'm having a nightmare that I'm in an apartment looking into a kitchen area and the drawers, cabinets, and a door to the pantry were all opening, closing, and moving by themselves. Almost like poltergeist activity. I was scared in the dream, so I began praying, and then my wife, who was in bed next to me, kicked my foot and woke me up because I was clearly distressed and mumbling a lot in my sleep. I jumped awake because my wife kicked my foot, and feeling relieved not to be having the nightmare anymore, I turned my head towards my wife, who was laying behind me, and say, "Thank you, babe, I'm really sorry about that, I was having a nightmare." But I don't hear any response, so I figure that she's already fallen back to sleep, or might just be so tired that she's still kind of out of it. Then I turn my head back to facing forwards, the direction I was facing the whole time while I was sleeping, and I noticed something in the corner of the room, standing in front of the bedroom door. The room was dark, but its skin still appeared to be like a dark, matte gray color. It was really thin, had thin legs and long, thin arms, a small, almost childlike torso, a narrow neck, and then a really big, bulbous head with huge black almond-shaped eyes. It looked exactly like a traditional gray alien, but it was slightly transparent. Needless to say, I was shocked, and to be honest, my very first reaction was that I was seeing things because I had just woken up. So I rubbed my eyes and it's still there. Trying not to panic and trying to come up with a rational explanation for it, I thought, this must just be dream chemicals still working in my brain. So I sit up slightly and look into the corner of our bedroom by the closet, expecting to see something there too, but there's nothing. Then I look at the ceiling, nothing. The floor, nothing. The wall, nothing. I look back at the corner by the bedroom door and it's still right there. Standing there, completely still, just staring at me with its huge jet black eyes, which were shaped like almonds and appeared to wrap just slightly around the side of its head, not much larger than a human's eyes. And it's still slightly transparent, but I'm seeing it clearly, and only in that one spot too, not anywhere else in the room. Now, because the Texas power grid sucks, I always sleep with a flashlight next to the bed. And after seeing this thing for about a minute and a half, it occurs to me to grab the flashlight. I lean off the bed, reach down and grab the flashlight, and shine it in the corner of the room at this being. And because it's transparent, it became much less visible when I shined the light on it, and I could still see it very slightly, but it was much less. Again, in disbelief at what I was seeing, I began to slowly scan the whole room with the flashlight. From the bed, of course. I wasn't going to try to get out of bed. I was way too scared to be honest. And again, I see absolutely nothing strange anywhere in the room at all, except for this thing that I can see in the corner by the bedroom door. I turn the flashlight off and instantly I can see it super clearly again, just staring at me. I rub my eyes again and squeeze my eyes together tightly, hoping that when I open them it'd be gone. But it wasn't. So finally, I began truly freaking out internally. I just began praying out loud. And about after 20 seconds of praying, I literally watched this thing just fade out of existence and dematerialize right in front of me. It was still sitting there, dead still and staring at me the whole time. It just seemed to suddenly begin becoming more increasingly transparent until it wasn't. I've been awake since then, spent the rest of the night reading random stuff here on Reddit and try to distract myself because the experience shook me up quite a bit, to be honest. I was wondering if anyone else here has ever had an experience like this. I feel so genuinely weirded out that I just don't know what to make of it, to be honest.
Hey guys, about the time I walked in on a robbery. So it was actually my aunt's house that was robbed, and she had just went on a vacation and your girl was house sitting. But I was also cat sitting because their cat had diabetes and I had to go to the house I think 2 or 3 times a day and give the cat shots. So the night before, I actually made my mom come to the house with me because I had to go at midnight and I was kind of scared to go alone. And we noticed a few things that were just kind of off. Also, side note, how cute is my shirt? It says, "In my basic era." It's part of the new JD Fit collection. Same with these spandex. So cute. I'm obsessed with this graphic tee. It's dropping today and they're limited edition. Just want to let you guys know. But anyway, back to the story. So the things that were off were the basement light was on, which we thought was very odd because when they leave a house, they always make sure to turn off all the lights. So we were like, that's weird. But the kitchen sink was a mess and my aunt would never leave her house dirty when she went on vacation. So it was a complete disaster. My mom was like, "What is wrong? Like, this is so weird. Aunt Rachel would never leave it like this." And I was getting a little freaked out. I'm like, "Mom, come on, let's go." And she's like, "Why is the basement light on?" I'm like, "I don't know." She's like, "Did you turn it on?" I'm like, "Maybe I did. I don't know. Like, let's just go." Literally just getting so freaked out because I was like, wait, it sounds like someone's in the house. And I was just trying to play it down. I'm like, no, like nothing's wrong. Like, so then the next morning is when it went down. It was about 8 a.m. and I was on my way to my aunt's house really quick to give the cat a shot before I had a job interview. And as I pull up, I see a guy in an all blue jumpsuit walk out of my aunt's literally front door. I'm like, he was wearing a jail suit, which I don't think that's what it was, but that's what it looked like. So me and the guy make eye contact and I immediately get scared and I pretend like I'm literally like about to go out the door and then I like throw the car in reverse and act like I was just like turning around. So I immediately call my uncle and I'm like, "Hey, do you know this guy? Like, is someone supposed to be in your house? Like, what's going on?" He's like, "Absolutely not." So I call the cops and then I literally watch them over the corner of the street. They come in and they tackle this dude to the ground and I'm like, what the heck is happening? Like, I live in a small town. Like, stuff like this does not happen. I'm so sad. I'm out of my JDBD brow pencil, so I'd use this one. Hopefully it works. But anyway, so they arrest the guy and then we have to go in and assess like the house. I walk in, it's a completely different house. This man had like completely changed his house. He took down all the family pictures. He had thrown out like all of her expensive things and we were like, wait, what's going on? So I'm on the phone with my aunt. She's like, "Oh my God, like just find the cat, find the cat." I'm thinking I'm gonna find the cat like literally dead or in the freezer or something like really morbid and messed up based off the way that their house was left because it just did not look right. It wasn't a typical robbery. He was trying to squat and live at the house. So at this point, the cops like literally could not figure out how he even got in the house. And then Detective Katie over here is like, cops, there's no front door. I'm pretty sure that's how he got in. So he had punched through the door and then put his hand through and undid it. Then he unhinged like the door from the hinges. He like unscrewed it, drug it all the way to the basement. This man's had a mission, but pretty much he wasn't even trying to steal or rob the house. He was trying to live there, which was really creepy. And it turns out he was there the night before that me and my mom had thought someone was in the house. He was there the entire time. That gives me the heebie-jeebies. And the creepiest thing is he had a butcher knife right next to the side door where I was about to walk in. Thank God he was protecting me that day because who knows what could have happened.
You guys, I have to tell you this story. The other day I was at the lady doctor and there was kind of like a long wait. My appointment was like right in the morning, like as soon as they opened. I was literally there like right at 9. So I was like, oh, I'll be in and out super quick. But I was literally in the waiting room for so long. People who came in after me were being taken back before me. So I was like, did y'all forget about me? Like, but anyways, that's kind of besides the point. They finally come out and get me and bring me back. And it turns out like for my specific appointment, it was kind of like a follow-up of something. And so a specific doctor needed to be available and I guess she just like was running late or something. The nurse that takes me back there, you know, you always have to like go back and weigh yourself, you know, which isn't that fun, but like whatever. So like I get on the scale and like, you know, I had gained a few pounds since the last time I was there. So I was just like, oh, yikes, like I gained a few pounds to myself. I didn't like say that out loud. After she weighs me and stuff, I like keep following her back to the room. I'm like still thinking about like the weight thing. I wasn't like dwelling on it. It was literally just like in the time span of literally 2.5 seconds. So I literally was just like walking behind her like, oh wow, like I've gained a few pounds and like my weight was like on my mind. So all of a sudden she turns around with her little clipboard. We're still walking down the hallway to the room. She turns around and she goes, "I'm so sorry about your weight." And in the moment, I'm like, did she really just say that? Like, oh my gosh, like she can probably see how much I weighed the last time I was here and that I gained weight since the last time I was in here. So for a few seconds, I like don't say anything because I'm like, you know, what? But then it hits me like what she actually meant. She meant like, I'm sorry that you like waited so long to come back here. And so then I'm finally like, oh my gosh, like it's totally fine. No worries. So for like a second, I'm like debating whether or not I should tell her what just went through my brain because she seems cool. I'm like, maybe she'll like laugh at this. So we're walking into the room and I look at her and I'm like, can I just tell you something hilarious? When we were walking down the hallway and you said sorry about your weight, I was just thinking about my weight on the scale and how I had gained a few pounds and I thought you were sorry about how much I weighed. And it literally took her a second to like understand what I was saying. She was like, what? And then it hit her and she was like, oh my gosh, I would never say that. I would never say that. And I was like, I know. That's why I was like quiet for a few seconds. And then we laughed about it literally for so long. She was trying to like be serious with me like the whole time she was like asking me questions and stuff. We just like couldn't even stop laughing about it. We even told the doctor about it when the doctor came in and the doctor was like cracking up. Like it was just so like, what is wrong with me? Like, I probably need more coffee or something. I was really running out. I cannot believe I thought that she meant my weight. Like, what? Am I okay?
Is about one of the worst clients I had as an esthetician. So I never used to like to talk about like, you know, any of my experiences that I had just because I was still working there. But now that I'm not working there, I feel like it's appropriate. And obviously I'm not gonna like say the name of the person or whatever. But, okay, so I had this one client and I was seeing her like for years. I would do lasers on her all the time. I would mostly do IPL lasers on her and then even some microneedling. Then I had gotten pregnant with Hendrix. And then I was on maternity leave like for about 3 months, I think. And during that time that I was on maternity leave, she saw the other esthetician. I was, replacing me. So a year went by, like, that I was back at work, and so Hendrix was one. And so I finally saw her again, and I was, like, so excited to see her because I was pretty close to her because I was seeing her every single month for a couple of years before I had Drix. So at this appointment, I was like, oh my God, like, you know, I haven't seen you in forever. And she was like giving me the same energy. I was even showing her like pictures of Drix because I was telling her about like how crazy his hair was at the time. This is before we cut it. She was telling me about her husband problems. I don't know, just a bunch of personal things that you tell somebody who like you're vibing with or like you have like some type of relationship right? Like, I wouldn't just tell somebody that, like, who I just met. Like, you have to have some kind of level of comfort to tell people, like, personal information, you know? And the treatment that she was getting done that day was the IPL laser, which we have done on her, like, many times. Literally the entire time that, like, I'm doing the treatment on her, we're talking. There was, like, no quiet points at all. Because we were just catching up, laughing, literally, like, cracking up laughing, okay? And I was even late to my next appointment that I had because her appointment ran over just because we were talking so much. And when the appointment was done, we left on good terms because we were talking the entire time of her appointment. Literally walked out of the door laughing. Even like one of my coworkers saw that. Then next day, I was off. It was my off day. One of my coworkers, who's also one of my friends, texted me and she was like, so, you know, the patient yesterday, so-and-so, she's calling the office and telling our boss, like, fully complaining about you. And she also left us a 1-star review on Yelp. I was literally mind blown because of how our appointment went the day before. I'm like convinced that this lady is like not okay because the things that she was writing in her Yelp review did not happen in our appointment, like whatsoever. Like it was like we were at 2 completely different appointments. She said that I did a really bad service on her and that she feels like I had a grudge against her because she switched estheticians when I was on maternity leave. Why would I be mad about that, first of all? And second of all, who was my patient supposed to see when I was gone? Obviously, they had to go and see the other esthetician. And so, yeah, she said that she thought that I had a grudge on her, so I gave her a really bad appointment. And she said that during the appointment, I acted like a middle schooler, which is insane. It's funny that she said that because she was talking to me about how she used to teach middle school and she hated it. So So yeah, she hates me, apparently. She also said that I didn't do a good laser treatment on her because I did not give her a mirror after the appointment was done. Yes, I did not give her a mirror, but it was not because I didn't do a good treatment. It was just because we were running so late, like, into our appointment that I just totally forgot. And we were just talking and whatnot. The way that she described that the treatment went is that I didn't do the laser strong enough on her. But then she kind of contradicts herself because then she said I burned her forehead. So if I didn't do the laser strong enough, then how could I burn your forehead? Because when you burn somebody, it's because you're doing too strong of a setting. And then when we asked her, like, oh, well, if you got burned, like, we would like to see it to make sure, like, how can we correct it? So we want to see a picture, or will you come in tomorrow so that, like, we can see it? And she's like, oh, no, I don't want to send any pictures in. The part that I was really irritated about, though, was the fact that, like, she said that she felt like I held a grudge against her because the appointment, everything was totally fine during the appointment. That is so crazy. And to me, if I acted like such a middle schooler and I was so unprofessional, why were you opening up to me about personal things? You know what I mean? I would never open up to anybody if they made me feel uncomfortable in any type of way. I don't know if she was trying to get, like, something for free. I don't know. I honestly think that, like, she's not okay because she had done something after that, that was kind of, like, weird, and, like, you kind of, like, questioned it a little bit. She said that she would never be back. She's never coming to our office ever again. And she was back the following month, of course. I'm sorry, this lady was out of her mind. Like, I just could not believe that she fully made up that whole story because the appointment couldn't have went any better. Like, seriously, that appointment was one of, like, in my opinion, if she never, like, you know, left that review or said anything, I would have, like, totally left, like, thinking, oh, we're on good terms. Like, we're cool. Like, you know? She was psychotic. I'm sorry. She was psycho. Like, I don't want to call anybody that, but yeah, she's psycho. If you're not happy with, like, the service that you got, that's one thing. But to make up an entire story about how I was unprofessional and I was acting like a middle schooler, like, what does that even mean? And what bothered me the most was that what really bothered me was that there was a 1-star review on my job's, like, business. I don't like that, you know, like, that's still, like, their business and that makes them look bad. And it was totally based on lies, which that really infuriates me.
I hate when men are like, oh, a woman could never be a world leader because she's going to, like, get her period and nuke Europe or something. And it's like, no, they won't. But I would. And that's why I'm not speaking for all women right now. But here's the thing. Women also have self-awareness. I would never even run because I know what happens before my period. I know that no one's safe. No one in my life right now is safe. And I'm always like, thank God this isn't important. Thank God I'm not a world leader. The decisions I've been making based on my mounting frustration, anger, irritability that is uncontrollable to me, this train's off the rails. This plane is flying itself. I went to try on my wedding dress yesterday. And before I even went, I was like, this is a bad idea because I can feel a craziness brewing in my mind that is uncontrollable. And I'm like, you're gonna hate your wedding dress. You're gonna fucking don't try it on today. But it's too late. I'm going. Go try it on. Shocking. It looked amazing. I was like, wow, I'm gonna be the hottest bride ever. But then an intrusive thought entered my brain and I said to the girls designing the dress, I'm like, do you guys ever think about your dogs dying? And they were like, yeah. I almost start crying. Another girl almost starts crying. I'm so sorry. So sorry, everyone. Get into the car. Now I'm in a shit mood because I'm thinking of my dead dog, who is 3. I'm driving through the city. I'm like, I hate it here. And then I was like, well, where would you want to live? Nowhere. There's no pleasing me. There's no whatever. I'm getting home. It's dinner time. I'm not hungry. There's nothing I want to eat. I'm like, Uber Eats, anything you want. Eat something crazy for dinner. Have McDonald's. Nope. I don't want it. I'm so fucking pissed off. Don't want it. So I end up cooking vegetables. We eat them. Joe and I are sitting on the couch and now I'm getting like finally at 9 o'clock, I was like, I'm having a drink, which is late. That is not usually when I pour myself a drink. In fact, I wasn't going to pour myself a drink at all, but I was like, I need to numb this psychotic thinking I'm having. Like, I'm miserable. My clothes are bothering me. I have restless leg syndrome. I'm like, should I go for a fucking walk? Like, I'm like ready to go. This morning, my planner sends me my floor plan. I'm like, I actually can't respond. Because I actually don't know if it's a bad floor plan. I'm just so ready to go that I'm like, I need to take 5. And if my period doesn't come in the next 2 days, God help everyone. Imagine, this is why I can't be a world leader. I'm supposed to work tonight bartending. Easy ass job. I don't even know if I'm gonna go in. This is like, I've called in sick for this before, and I like tried to say to my boss, I'm like, it's woman's troubles, like brutal, but I'm like, it actually is. Someone get on this in the medical community. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm exercising, I'm doing it all right, I'm eating well, like what? You know? If I go in there tonight, someone talks to me wrong, can't be in the service industry with this kind of irritability. It's crazy. Like, even looking at myself right now, I want to slap myself in the face. Pooh, get out of here.
I gleefully told people I had cancer after they dismissed me. I have always been a filler person. My parents each had a child they obviously favored. My mother favors my younger sister, my father and my younger brother. I am the friend that is ignored in a group. I am the employee whose birthday is forgotten. I'm the person who doesn't get dates. I've gotten used to it. As a result of being this agreeable, filler, dull person, I think the people around me don't realize that I'm a natural person with needs like everyone else. The prime example was when I said my chest hurt, and I coughed constantly. The people I spoke to, and I know only a few, said it was not a big deal and that I'd be fine. I'd never complained before, so I should be fine. I took that to heart and wondered if I really should have told people I didn't feel well and if I was making it up in my head. It took me a long time to tell the doctor my symptoms because I thought I was overreacting, but I had to get checked out. Well, it turns out that there was something wrong with me. I have stage 2 NSCLC. Editor's note: lung cancer. I'm still independent and handling this alone. I drive myself to and from appointments, pick up my medication, and reason with doctors and insurance. I haven't slacked on housework or at work. In fact, I've worked even harder. Today at work, I told my friend I couldn't help her move as a favor because I had a medical appointment that day. She pressed me for more details, and I just said I had NSCLC treatment. I didn't want to give more information than that. My husband complained that I told her the info gleefully as if I was happy about the news. I told him I'm so glad to be diagnosed because it proves I have human needs like everyone else. I wasn't crazy. He said I shouldn't act like this. My husband has been unstable and touchy about random things this year, so I don't know if he has a point. Ada? Edit, same day, I'm in therapy. My therapist and I are working through things, and she's been accommodating. I feel somewhere between a filler person and an automation. Filler people aren't real, they don't have life complexities and exist solely to make others shine. Machines don't get sick. The diagnosis was concrete. I live, I'm a person, I'm not crazy and it's not in my head. I don't want attention from others. I cried and felt relief at the exact moment. I know why my husband has been unstable and touchy, thanks to the comments. At the beginning of this year, his love got into a car accident and broke her femur. She survived and is healthy now. I think that could be part of what's concerning him. My illness is a reminder that she could have died, and she could still die, and life is unpredictable that way. I alone wouldn't inspire such emotion in my husband. The comments made me realize that my husband likely felt helpless at death. I traced back to when he became touchy and moody and realized it was when she got into that car accident. My husband has asked for help. But there's nothing for him to do. I have taken care of everything and will continue to do so. The past week has been a roller coaster of emotions for me. My therapist had suggested that I write my thoughts and feelings in a journal, but I always convinced myself there wasn't enough time in a day. Writing that post made me realize I was dealing with many suppressed emotions. I resent the people who just took and took without giving back. I had told nobody besides my therapist about how much I felt like a ghost of a person and how I pushed things down and never complained. So, I spent hours writing down my thoughts in a diary. I realized I needed to be more honest and stop tiptoeing around people to make them comfortable. I told my husband that I knew about his past with his ex-girlfriend. I knew they had unresolved feelings, and he needed closure about her and their relationship. He kept checking her social media, which intensified after her car accident this year. He was shocked that I knew. I encouraged him to reach out and get the closure he wanted. We had a good conversation. He hugged me and reached out to her immediately. I think he was waiting for that push from someone. He was so happy after the conversations they had, he was glowing. She's coming to our city in a month, and they'll meet in person. He's been more affectionate and genuinely lighter, like there's a weight off his chest. I went through the motions of life. I started ignoring calls from my parents. I didn't want to help out anymore. I was too tired. My mom called and said I was being arrogant and moving away from my family before asking me to help with something. I didn't reach out to my friends. I have only a few, and we would text every day. I realized we texted because I always reached out. I told someone else about my diagnosis. My neighbor Nancy is a woman in her late 70s. She's one of the few people I feel seen by. She cares about me, and if I had told her about my health issues, she would have told me to go to the ER. I know why I didn't tell her, but I wonder why I hope for care from people who have demonstrated no respect for me instead of those who do. She was so worried for me. We had planned a fun day trip to see a flower festival next spring. I drove home on my first week of the second cycle, and for the first time, I was exhausted. I had to pull over and rest for an hour before I felt well enough to finish driving home. I was so exhausted I didn't want to move and sat in my driveway. It hit me then that I didn't have NSCLC stage 2A. I had lung cancer. I could die. I just started sobbing. All I could think of was the stupid flower festival. I haven't lived my life. I love my husband, my family, and my friends. But I don't want to marry him, I don't want to cater to my family, and I'm tired of my friends. I want to live. I want to be well enough to drive and see the flower festival with Nancy. It's only been a week and a half of change, and my emotions have gone from low to really high and back to low. I've been dreaming of my life after I beat cancer and left my husband and friends. I don't know if I can stick with it, but I am determined to be strong. My therapist says change from within can start small or big. She's proud of me and thinks I can get through this.
Am I the a-hole for quitting my job because my parents didn't pay me on time? My mom and stepdad Harry decided to buy an open-end hotel. They got my older brother Steve, M22, and sister Lucy, F19, involved as well. We all did our training in the tourist field, so we were able to provide appropriate support in the hotel. I've started working full-time with my parents since I have a 1-year-old and only have sitters available at the end of the week. I worked a total of 46 hours for this pay period and was asked to provide my direct deposit information so that I could get paid on time like everyone else. Friday came, and I kept checking my account throughout the morning to see if my deposit had been made, but no luck. I wasn't too upset about it, so I decided to give my mom a call and let her know. She then contacted my stepdad, who in turn reached out to payroll to figure out what went wrong. Apparently, my stepdad had set up the payment to be deposited in 2 weeks, mistakenly. However, he assured us that the problem could be fixed and that the check should be deposited by Monday morning. The whole thing made my life more difficult because I had to pay rent and the babysitter. So, it's Monday, and I'm feeling really distressed and confused right now. When I woke up this morning, I checked my account and there was no deposit. But I tried to stay calm and reached out to my mother to let her know that I still haven't been paid. When I called, my stepdad happened to be with her, and he assured me that he would contact the payroll again. I patiently waited for an hour, expecting a call back, but unfortunately, nobody contacted me. So, I decided to get in touch with my mother once more. She mentioned that she had actually forgotten to call me back and promised to do so once she got back to the office. Honestly, I was really angry at this point. My mother didn't seem very concerned, and it felt like she wasn't providing much support in this situation. I didn't even have money to buy anything to eat. My child also had an appointment with the doctor, for which I needed money. Another hour went by, and yet again, no call from her. I waited for an additional 30 minutes and then finally decided to give her another call. This time, she explained to me that the payroll secretary hadn't resubmitted my direct deposit on Friday, which is why nothing was sent. She informed me that I'll have to go to the workplace tomorrow to collect a check or cash from my stepdad. By the way, my stepdad has another job to manage, so he usually leaves the hotel around noon. Update. To sum it up, I'm feeling a mix of frustration and confusion right now. It's disappointing that my mother isn't showing much concern or providing any encouragement in dealing with this problem. I just hope everything gets sorted out, and I can get my payment tomorrow. I then called my stepfather and said that I would come by the next day to pick up my check. He told me he would take care of it and have the check ready. When I came to his office the next day, he was already on his way to his other job. He then told me that he had forgotten to issue the check and that I should wait until the office had transferred the money. He didn't even wait for me to say anything and just ran past me. At that moment, one of the other colleagues asked me why I was so upset. I told her what happened and she then told me that she wasn't used to anything different from my parents. The secretary regularly forgets to transfer the money on time, and when you ask her about it, there are always problems. Only my siblings always get their money on time. I've only been working for my mother for a short time, and this is about my first paycheck. I actually quit my old job to help them out because I was hoping that the change would mean fewer problems for me. I guess I was wrong then. I then told my sister about the problem and let her know that I was quitting my job at the company. She then got angry because that would mean more work for her and my brother and I would be letting the family down. However, I wasn't impressed and sent my mom the notice of termination by email and informed her that if my money wasn't in my account on time, I would get a lawyer involved. Less than an hour after the email, my mother called me to yell at me about how I could be so inconsiderate. However, I wasn't impressed. So far, the money isn't there, and I've already been able to secure 2 interviews at other nursing homes.